How to gain a peaceful perspective. Greetings, dear community. Welcome to Practical Philosophy. May you always be filled with peaceful energy and a loving heart. In this fast-paced and ever-changing world, our perception of reality has become a trap. We look without truly seeing, act without full awareness, and listen without truly hearing. A peaceful perspective is not just a change in thinking, it's a transformation of consciousness. It's a state where we begin to engage with the present moment through wisdom and compassion. Learning to meditate. What does it really mean? To learn meditation is to learn how to see with new eyes. We often assume we already see the world clearly, but the real question is, do we truly see? Or are we merely witnessing distorted illusions shaped by memory, prejudice, fear, and unconscious mental patterns deeply ingrained within us? From the moment we're born, our perception is never completely pure. Every moment, we receive information through a lens built from past experiences. We may see a person, but what we actually perceive is not them as they are now, it's a version of them imprinted in our mind. And so arises the paradox. We believe we are living in reality. But in truth, we are trapped in layers of memory. Meditation is a radical revolution in the way we view the world. It doesn't teach us to add more thoughts, rather, it helps us peel away the old layers of perception. In meditation, we learn to look at a flower as if it were the very first time. We see a familiar face and suddenly notice things we've never seen before. We drop assumptions, abandon analysis, and allow things to reveal themselves in their rawest form. It sounds simple, yet it's incredibly challenging. Why? Because humans are not used to just seeing without judging. We're conditioned to label, compare, and categorize everything according to pre-existing ideas. And that's precisely what makes our vision impure. The paradox of human perception. A mother looks at her child and believes she knows them best. But does she truly see her child, or does she only see her own expectations, fears, and projections? As the child grows, their personality changes each day, but the mother holds on to an outdated image, preventing her from realizing who her child has become. Someone sees a beggar on the street and immediately assumes they're lazy and unwilling to work. But do they truly see this person's life? Do they know the struggles that led them here? Did he choose poverty, or has life carved upon him wounds invisible to the eye? The truth is, we never really see things as they are. We only see the reflection of our own minds. Prejudice and bias, the invisible chains. Prejudices are rigid beliefs inherited from society, education, and family. They might give us direction in life, but they also bind and limit our freedom of thought. Biases are personal experiences etched into our minds, causing us to believe that things will always unfold in a certain way. If we've been betrayed, we might start believing that no one is trustworthy. If we've failed before, we may convince ourselves we're doomed to always fail. When we look at the world through the eyes of prejudice and bias, we no longer see truth. We only see the version we want to believe is true. Human society is full of unspoken rules, patterns around gender, age, race, and social status that distort reality. A man who cries is labeled weak. A strong woman is seen as overly ambitious. A rich person is assumed to be capable, while a poor one is seen as lazy. But how much truth lies in these assumptions? Or are they just mental shortcuts born from lazy thinking? A real-life example. A successful businessman who grew up in poverty believes that only hard work leads to success. So when he sees a young employee leave work early, he instantly judges him as lazy and lacking ambition. But what he doesn't know is that the employee may have started work at dawn or might be caring for a sick family member. The businessman's perspective isn't entirely wrong, but it's confined within the walls of his own experience. How do we free ourselves from prejudice? The only way to transcend prejudice is to train the ability to observe without judgment. This doesn't mean we abandon critical thinking. It means we approach everything with an open heart and mind. We ask more questions, we listen more deeply, and we accept the fact that what we know may not be the whole truth. When you look at someone, ask yourself, am I seeing them as they truly are, or just a version of them in my mind? How certain am I that my perception of them is accurate? What would change if I saw them from a different angle? Every time we question our assumptions, we expand the boundaries of our awareness. And when we have the courage to see things as they truly are, we begin to feel a deep and authentic sense of freedom. We must recognize that prejudice doesn't only come from the outside, it also arises from the invisible limitations we impose on ourselves. Every time we tell ourselves, "I can't do this," "the world is too unfair," or "people never change," we're locking our own doors shut. These thoughts act like invisible chains, confining us to a narrow perspective shaped by the past, by fear, and by attachments. Breaking free from prejudice is not simply about changing the way we see others, it's, more importantly, an inner revolution. It requires the courage to question the very beliefs we've unconsciously absorbed from our environment. What we call truth, is it truly the truth, or just a shell of unexamined perception? Without inquiry, we live our whole lives under the influence of barriers we don't even realize are there. Yet dismantling a deeply rooted belief system is no easy task. The human brain naturally clings to the familiar, it's a way of conserving energy. When faced with a viewpoint that contradicts our beliefs, our first instinct is to defend, to reject, rather than to listen with openness. This creates a self-reinforcing loop of prejudice. The more we believe something, the more we seek only what supports that belief, and discard everything else. So how do we break this cycle? The answer lies in mindful observation. When we learn to observe without judging, to listen without rushing to conclusions, when we allow reality to unfold without imposing our mental frameworks onto it, we begin to see things as they truly are. This isn't an easy journey, but with every moment of mindful awareness, we slowly open the door to inner freedom. Instead of reacting out of habit, we can ask ourselves, why do I believe this? Could there be another perspective? If I had been born into a different circumstance, would I still hold this same belief? When we dare to step outside the comfort zone of our thinking, we begin to see that the world is far more expansive than we ever imagined. But how can we truly transform our perception and break down these invisible walls? First, we must understand that the human brain doesn't operate based on absolute truths. It operates through patterns that we've reinforced over time. Every time we encounter new information, the brain immediately compares it to what we already know, searching for similarities to decide whether or not to accept it. This mechanism helps us survive in a complex world, but it also traps us within fixed thought patterns. When we come across a viewpoint that challenges our beliefs, our immediate response isn't curiosity, it's defense. The brain activates protective mechanisms to shield our existing worldview, because accepting a new truth may mean acknowledging we've been wrong for a long time, and that's a deeply uncomfortable feeling. This is why, even when people are exposed to new ideas or different perspectives, they often remain unchanged in their thinking, because they aren't truly listening. They aren't genuinely observing with an open mind. They're merely seeking confirmation for what they already believe. And this is precisely what makes prejudice such a solid wall, separating us from objective reality. So how can we gradually escape this loop? We can't simply decide to think differently and expect change overnight. Instead, we must practice it step by step. 1. Focus on direct experience, rather than relying solely on what we hear or see through media or other people. Spend time observing reality for yourself. If you've always believed that a certain group of people always behaves a certain way, find real opportunities to engage with them. Let your direct experience reshape your understanding. 2. Learn to listen without instantly reacting when you encounter an opposing opinion. Don't rush to reject it. Pause and ask, why does this person think this way? What in their background has shaped this perspective? When we listen without judgment, we begin to see that every belief has its own roots. 3. Observe yourself. Whenever you feel discomfort, anger, or resistance to a certain idea, turn inward and ask, where is this feeling coming from? Why am I reacting so strongly? Often, we oppose not because an idea is wrong, but because it threatens our ego. 4. Create space between thoughts. Meditation is a powerful tool for this. Through mindfulness meditation, we learn to observe thoughts without getting caught in them. This helps us realize that thoughts are just passing streams of information. We don't have to cling to them. 5. Embrace uncertainty. One of the hardest things for the human mind is accepting that nothing is absolute. Truth is rarely one-dimensional, and our perception will always have limits. But when we cultivate mental flexibility, We no longer fear new perspectives. Instead, we welcome them as opportunities for deeper understanding. Transforming perception is not an overnight change. It's a long journey, requiring patience and courage. But once we begin to truly see the world with awakened eyes, life becomes lighter, people become easier to love, and most importantly, we discover a profound sense of freedom within our own hearts. Conclusion. Seeing the world through peaceful eyes is not merely a choice, it is a lifelong journey of inner cultivation. When we free ourselves from the chains of prejudice, when we dare to step beyond the comfort zone of habitual thinking, we begin not only to perceive the world differently, but also to live more fully. Peace does not come from controlling everything to fit our desires. It arises from acceptance, from understanding, and from expanding our awareness with an open heart. The practice of seeing all things and all people with mindful awareness takes time and patience. But the rewards of this path are far greater than inner calm alone. It offers vast wisdom, a compassionate heart, and a deeper, more meaningful life. If you've come this far, take a moment to ask yourself, is there something in my perception that's limiting the way I see life? Am I truly seeing the world, or just seeing the labels my mind has placed upon it? And if I tried to look again, with fresh eyes, could I perhaps touch a deeper layer of truth? Let this journey begin with you, right here, in this very moment.